Welcome to the Crush It in Sales podcast. I'm your host, Melinda Van Fleet. This podcast focuses on the intersection of sales, leadership, and personal development. Now let's get ready to dig in and crush it. Hi, everyone. This week, I am so pleased to have Jill Lublin on my podcast. She has been working her magic with connecting people, and now her newest book, The Profit of Kindness, so spreading kindness, for over 26 years. And she is definitely an expert in this field. And I was very excited that she was able to be a guest on this podcast. So I hope you love it. Please feel free to share with a friend, family member, or coworker. And as always, I appreciate a rating and review on Apple. And check out my other podcast, The Good Karma Success Coach, which is more personal development. And I venture into some different topics that are always fun to learn about as well. So on to the podcast. Thanks for listening. Hi, Jill. Welcome to the Crush It in Sales podcast. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you.
Awesome.
Good to be here.
Yes. And thank you so much for taking your time to chat with myself and the audience today. I'm super excited to have you on this podcast. I love your book, The Profit of Kindness. Would you mind sharing a little bit of your background with the audience and how you got started? Because you've been in business for a long time, which is amazing. So I'd love to hear about
Oh, thank you so much. So a couple things. One is I'm delighted to be here. And I've actually written 4 books, including Guerrilla Publicity. And then this is my latest one, The Profit of Kindness. So very excited about that. I've been helping entrepreneurs, speakers, authors, coaches, and small business owners to actually gain visibility through publicity for, near 20 years. And I teach a publicity course that's a virtual, get it done, no kidding kind of course. Having a great time with that and really helping people get their message out. The other super cool thing that I've been doing is helping people get major book deals with publishers and agents without a word written, which I just love. So that's been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. How would you, thinking back to your other books, which, Get Noticed, Get Referrals, Guerrilla Publicity, like you mentioned, and network marketing, how would you give someone some quick tips on how to get started to get their name out there and get started in this space?
Yeah, so a couple things. One is you have to get very clear on your message. And what I really advise people to do is have what I call a problem solution formula. Know what it is you're saying to people in a way that makes it just really simple and easy. What do I mean by that? I mean, get clear on stating a problem that is relevant and helpful for the listeners, right? So like when I'm talking about a publicity, I state that the problem today is 4 out of 5 businesses will go out of business because you have no clue how to create publicity without spending a fortune. Mm-hmm. And then the next 3 are real solutions. You want to give real solutions to people, right? So I would say something like, create your ooh, ah factor. Create the I've heard of you somewhere syndrome, right? And so I think what we got to do is really give people real things to do that keep it simple and easy and make it a way for somebody to get it done. And then I like to say, give them appetizers, not full meals, because of course what you want to do is connect and actually give them the initial opportunity to get connected to you and give them the kind of, shall we say, good information. And then, of course, ways to connect to you and all that good stuff, right? So I think that's really important.
Yeah. Now, being that you have such a vast experience in the book world, do you recommend that people start off with a book or work their way into having a book? Like, what would be your recommendations?
So a couple things. One is I'm a big believer in books. I mean, I've got 4 of them. They're all in major meaning major publishers. And for years, I've been helping people get book deals with just an idea or a vision. And I help sell that idea and vision to major publishers and major agents. In fact, a wonderful woman who didn't have one word written has got a book coming out on Simon and Schuster that I helped her land. So that's pretty exciting, right?
Very.
And so am I a big believer in getting a book? Yes. Does it need to be the first thing you do? Not necessarily. And sometimes it can be, hybrid published, self-published. There's all kinds of ways to get books out now. And I don't want people sweating over that. What I really want is people to get connected to what's next in their business, what's first in their business, right? And I think a piece of that is really... a piece of that is to focus on a right message that people are connected to. And I think that's really the biggest thing.
No, that's really great advice. And I ask because I've heard it both ways. So that's why I was curious. I'm like, oh, you'd be a good person to ask. Some people have started off their journey in a certain space by having a book. And then some people have waited several years to feel like they've built up this big credibility and then launch a book. So I've heard it. I don't personally have an opinion, so I was curious about yours. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
What inspired you to write your books when you first started? I mean, I commend you. You've been doing this for a long time. I'd love to hear about your inspiration from when you started your business.
Well, a couple things. My first book is actually called Guerrilla Publicity. Great book for how to get your publicity going in simple, easy ways without spending a fortune, right? Mm-hmm. And so how did that happen? Well, I actually have been in publicity and speaking. I speak quite a bit and train people. And what I know about the power of a book is it's a way to leave a legacy. It's a way to leave a part of you with somebody and continue good information and a way to ongoingly serve people, which is super cool. Right? And so with that, what I'm suggesting and what I think is actually really important is get that in a condensed, concise manner. So when I was actually operating a PR agency, which I had for many years, and then turned my information around to serve people even more affordably, even more simply. But when I had that PR agency, I got kind of what I'd call tapped on the shoulder. J. Conrad Levinson, who's the grandfather of marketing, he wrote Guerrilla Marketing, which has sold over 1 million copies of all his Guerrilla books. And he actually came to me and said, hey, do you want to do a publicity book called Guerrilla Publicity? You're the expert. I want you to write it. So that was pretty exciting.
Wow. That's really cool. I did not know that.
Yes.
That's awesome. So jumping into your newest book, The Profit of Kindness. And this is a book that I have dog-eared and Post-it marked. So Post-it notes, I guess. Little green Post-it notes all over. I find it amazing that in this world where there is so much conversation about mindfulness and empathy, that there still is a lot of challenge as far as leadership not being grateful to their teams. So in general, all the chapters that you wrote, the premise was right on. But when I was reading in the gratitude chapter where the story about, he never greets me, she talks to me like I'm an idiot, he never smiles, they bring me down. That stuff still happens. It's really amazing that leadership still treats their teams like that. Is that what you're still finding when you're out there coaching and speaking, that there's still that big challenge?
Funny enough, yes. And of course, it might be even worse than ever because people are living with people that maybe they haven't had to speak to for as long. It's kind of funny.
Yes, I get it.
It's true, right? So I think that's really, interesting and so true. Mm-hmm. And I think more than ever, kindness is key. Being with, how would I put it? Being well in the world, giving of yourself, being kind, connecting in a ways that maybe we, haven't had to do before. But now is the moment to be more kind than ever. And I want people to practice a conscious act of kindness. I know people say random acts of kindness. Actually, I want you to practice a conscious act of kindness. And that means, really going out of your way, opening the door for someone, see if somebody needs a meal right now, send a nice text, write a card to someone who's, cooped up, that could just give someone great joy. Just do something that's an extension of self and creates more connection. And I think now more than ever, we need that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was introduced to you through WPN, Women's Prosperity Network, which I've talked about on my podcast a little bit. And just for anyone out there, it's a very large women's networking group that these three sisters started in 2008, which I think is cool. And just to side note here, one of the things they had asked for volunteers for in the last few weeks is to have like an angel network. I'm not sure if you heard this, Jill. Yeah. So I volunteered to just make phone calls to members that they hadn't heard from or seen on any Zoom calls in a really long time. And I wasn't able to get hold of anyone. I think I called 22 people total. So I couldn't reach everyone. I got a lot of voicemails and left voicemails and emails. But the women I did reach, even if they were fine, they're like, I'm fine, just haven't, done anything with WPN in a while. They were still so grateful to get that little phone call. It was really, yeah, and it made my day because I was like, oh, that's so nice that they're good. And, it just was like a heartwarming thing of something so simple and free to just reach out to somebody and check on them. And I just thought that was a cool idea that they had to, help other people out there, just kind of what you're saying. So
beautiful.
Yeah, those random
I think that's really the key right now is random acts, but conscious acts. And so that's the bit is be kind. It's not expensive. It's a beautiful way to support and help. And I think just makes such a big difference.
Mm-hmm. How do you work with a leader that doesn't realize how their behavior is to get them to start to change their behavior? What tips would you have on that?
Well, a couple things. One is I think that when people see the profit that happens from being kind and what I found in writing The Profit of Kindness is that what was amazing and fabulous is that companies that are more kind are more profitable. The CEO is happier. The customers are happier. The employees are happier. And, this can be 1-2 person businesses, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is not big company culture. This is small and large. This is families. This is, this works for everybody. And I just think that's really important to understand and to know.
Yeah, absolutely. It permeates to everyone. If they want to go into work and do a good job, then it has to stem from the top that people want to be motivated to do that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Another story that I love that actually brought tears to my eyes was in the chapter on compassion with Daniel and Ricky. Oh my gosh. Can you share in your words that story for the audience? Because I just think it's so compelling.
Okay, so I have to just because book isn't right in front of me. But
no worries.
Which specific one?
Yeah, so Daniel was a young boy, and he was going on a field trip, and Ricky was going to be his roommate, and the mother was hesitant to share that they were going to be roommates because Ricky, I believe, is handicapped.
Got it. Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that story. Right. And actually Daniel, the wonderful young son, and this is actually one of my dear friends, by the way, Deborah Poneman. And let me share with you that story of her son saying yes to a roommate who was disabled. And he said yes when no one else would. is who Daniel is, because even today he still runs major nonprofits. He runs a very successful placement for for basketball players, right? Isn't that amazing? I mean, he is an incredibly successful young man today, and part of that is because he was raised by a mother who's kind, who's caring, who put the values of consideration and loving all people, no matter what. And boy, isn't that interesting that that is the story that caught you, because Deborah Poneman, yes, to success, she's very successful now, and her son is also continuing to be very successful. Why? Partly, not only are they great people who are smart, but they practice kindness.
Yeah. Yeah. Just amazing. Just amazing that, she was hesitant to say something because, the world is full of judgment and people can be cruel. And then her son was like, no, I chose him. I wanted him as my roommate. Was just like, wow, what a story. Like just sitting here, like thinking about.
Thank you. Thank you. I know it's beautiful. I mean, and it's so beautiful to share these things.
Mm-hmm. And if more people would just have that point of view, if everyone just did one thing like that, like let's say a month, can you even imagine? So that is very, very cool. Do you have any advice for the audience that you would say just in terms of dealing with the current situation? I know you spoke a little bit about it, but anything else that you would want to add so everyone can just go out there and do the best they can do with what's going on?
Yeah, so thank you. I mean, I think the biggest thing is do something that is an extension of yourself. I mean, it really could be as simple as just open the door for someone. Don't get aggravated with the lines, and be really flexible right now. Be patient right now, more than ever. More than ever, we need to all be patient because, people are a little disturbed. I notice more anxious. Schedules are a little off. I mean, somebody missed 2 calls with me the other day, and my schedule's pretty full and tight. And, I just go, okay, I just hope you're well, and I let it go, and I don't make a big deal of it. So I think that we need to be more considerate than ever, and remember to practice that conscious act of kindness. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful advice. Thank you. How can the audience get in touch with you if they wish to connect?
Sure. So a couple things. Go to jilllublin.com/publicity, and that's lots of L's in there. JILLLUBLIN.com/publicity. You're going to get a free webinar from me, live with me, for how to get your message out. And then if you'd like to schedule some time with me and talk about books, publicity, anything for you that will help you get your message out, please go ahead and go to jilllublin.com/schedule and schedule time, and we'll catch up and we'll connect.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. I really hope people do connect with you and read your books, because I just really appreciate the stories and how relatable they are, and they make you think, which is good. So
thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jill. Thank you.
Thank you.